All right. All right, guys. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm so glad you're all here. So as I was saying, this evening is really important. It's important for me and our school, our faculty and staff. It's important also from the church side as well, as we support the parish and the parish supports us, and we work together. And so this is a really important evening for us to be able to come together and share a little bit about our school. This is something, since I've been here, we've not been able to do. But I'm excited now to sort of share our goals and where we're headed, and also to share a bit about our finances and where they stand. And I think it should help everybody have a better understanding of transparency and where we are and how things are going. So if we could, we'll get started with prayer, please. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Lord, we thank you for this amazing community of committed families and a building filled with loving and innovative teachers and staff. Together, we make St. Mary's a great place to teach and learn. Provide wisdom and guidance tonight as we share successes, challenges, and goals for St. Mary's Catholic School. In your name we pray. Amen. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Okay. So one bit of information, you're more than welcome to submit questions in the chat feature, but there won't be a Q&A per se in this case, but you're welcome. We will collect those questions, and I'm going to begin to do monthly principal coffees where in the morning you can join me for a coffee, and in that case, here we'll do it virtually. We will answer those questions at that point. So that's where we'll be answering those questions. But in these larger forums, when you start opening to Q&A, we sometimes go on longer than we might want to. So we're going to go ahead and just not have questions other than those that you pose in the question and answer or in the chat box, or you can email me. All right, let's go ahead and get started then. Just a couple of items here. These are just a few bullet points where we're going to talk about basically who we are, our promise, our faculty, how we serve others. Then we get into the finance part and we talk about the numbers, and then we're going to close with our goals and where we're headed. On the left on the screen, my left, it talks about our mission and our vision. And I think if you've read those are posted on our website, and if you've seen these, I think they speak very true of our school. And they are things these are words that are very important to us. And daily we put this into place and put this into action. And I could honestly say that even with the words, without the words, this stuff is happening because of our staff. Our staff is so committed to this. So forgive me, I got some people waiting to get into the Zoom here. So let me see if I can add them. All right, they are being added. Excellent. So my point to this is that even though these are words and these aren't things that people say, oh, I have to do this, the strong faculty that we have, this is how they act. This is their genuine nature. And so I think we're in a really good place with our faculty that we have. Here on our screen, basically to talk about our leadership at the moment, you have me, the principal, and then coming up later, Gregg Kamper will talk, and he represents finance and development, both for the parish and the school. And then we have Annalie Bissessi, who is in admissions. She's a director of admissions. And if you're new to our school or have been here a long time also, I'm sure you've interacted with Annalie in terms of your work or getting into our school. She also helps to transition folks out to the high school. So she processes transcript requests and applications and references, etc. So there are these are the three folks who are, as it pertains to this presentation, that are important here. And then the greatest note of all is on the left of the screen here. We talk about this coming school year. We've been able to work into the budget for this school year the opportunity to actually Sorry, I am admitting more folks. Um, to hire an assistant principal, which for me, I know will be amazing. And I think the whole point of the assistant principal will free me up to do some other things that I've been wanting and I can give more attention to. And in this case, the assistant principal will assist in that. So certainly looking forward to that. So one of the things we want to talk about that talks about making us unique, our school unique, and this image here, this isn't a stock image from the internet. This is actually one of our students during cross country this fall. One of the things that makes us very unique and very attractive and makes people want to stay here is the constant basically resource instruction that's given from JK, the day you come here in JK, through 8th grade. Everybody gets a foreign language study. Everybody gets the full slate of the resource classes of, we have art and we have music and technology and library and PE. And it's just not to the upper grades, it's the whole school. That for each of those teachers, remember, I just think about this today, today that's 410 students that those teachers teach. That's a large load. But they do it with ease and they do it with skill. So it's a beneficial part for us. The other part that I want to share too is that we are the only Catholic school in the region to offer an IB curriculum to all students 6 through 8. It's impressive the work that goes on here, and we've committed to moving forward with IB, and we now have some new teachers on board in the middle school, and those new teachers have received training or are slated to receive training in the IB process. I'm really excited about that commitment we've made to move forward with this, because I do think it sets our students apart in many ways. One of the points I want to make are the high school credits that can be you can walk away with from our school, from St. Mary's, when you finish the middle school program. There are essentially 5 you can walk away with: history, science, and then in math, you can achieve Algebra 1. Most students will have Algebra 1. And then also additional students can achieve and reach geometry. And then you have a foreign language. And in the foreign language, you can do French or Spanish. And let's add too that foreign language is studied from JK all the way through 8th grade. So you'll rotate every other year, French, Spanish, all the way through. So we have some multilingual students coming out of our school, and I guess not by reality, but by study we are. All right, so here we talk about our faculty, right? And here's a cross section of our group, and the representation here. I did a survey of our staff really to see, what kind of experience do we have in our school? How many folks are? How long have they been at our school? How long have they been teaching? And it's interesting to see that for the most part, while we have some new teachers, the average is 14 years in the classroom, which speaks highly to the commitment of these teachers. And then also the average that they've been at St. Mary's is 7 years, which is speaks volumes to being able to maintain and teacher turnover. I know some other schools who struggle with retention of teachers, but that's not a problem here. When teachers arrive at St. Mary's, they like to stay, and that's a good thing. So we get good ones and they stay, and that's what's important. Again, this talks about sort of the continuum of excellence that we have, starting from JK and working its way all the way up through the middle school, and the programs that we have. When we get to middle school, I wanted to talk a little bit, and this is focusing on some of our highlights, some of our successes. This backdrop of an image here is some of our middle school teachers, and that's a very common sight. This is while it's posed, while they're in a frame for a picture. This is the team that we have, and one of the things I think that really stands out to me and the staff here are the projects that we work on. We have a Pinchbeck project, which is basically tutoring over at Pinchbeck Elementary. That is where most of our middle school kids will sign up, and they go over on one afternoon after school and they tutor students who are in their ESL program. Granted, that was during that was pre-pandemic, but we as we come out of pandemic soon, hopefully, we'll be able to revisit that again. St. Mary's Woods also, fourth graders go over and they may sing for some of the seniors over at St. Mary's Woods, or they may pray with them, or visit and do a performance for them. They do that once a month. So as you can see, there's so many things that we get to do. This is just a small sampling of the stuff that goes on, the great things that go on with service. Currently, we are in Catholic Schools Week, and in Catholic Schools Week, we are collecting school supplies for students in Richmond Public Schools. The Richmond Public Schools right now, they are learning remotely, but they're at home, so they don't have teachers that can give them supplies. They can't give them extra paper or pencils. And in some cases, their parents aren't even providing that. So we are collecting newly packaged pencils, pens, paper, etc. So that's been going on all this week. And every chance we get, we like to take the opportunity to do service. So it's heartwarming. It is service. It's work, but it's also so beneficial for others. And that is what helps here at St. Mary's being a community. I know in many ways this sounds kind of sales pitchy to talk about how good we are, but this is the state of our school, right? We are in a good state. We do good things. And I think these are things we need to celebrate and talk about. So that's why this is all part of my sharing. Another thing that makes us really special is our strong relationship with our parish. In this picture on the left, you have our mascot Monty, and you have our parish priest, Father Reniger. He joined in the trunk or treat. We had a drive-through trunk or treat this fall, and he joined, and as you can see in all of his decorative gear, joined us in that. And that's just one small thing that happens with our school and church. As listed here on the screen, which I won't read for you, are things such as like the Diocesan Youth Conference. St. Mary's really, in the past, before the pandemic, has sent, I would say, some of the larger numbers of students to the Diocesan Youth Conference held here in Richmond. We also work with the Office of Human Concerns in the parish. Currently, that's what we're doing actually with the school supply drive. That's a partnership with the parish. We're doing that with them. So, it works really well to have an agreeable relationship, and one that supports and lifts the others. And let me share, I think I invited Father Reniger to join us this evening. I asked him to lead us in prayer and share a few words. But as one may assume, the priest's schedule is sometimes not controlled by the priest himself. So he was already committed. So he was unable to join us this evening. Let's see, going the wrong way. Forgive me. And then why do families choose St. Mary's? A lot of what I've talked about, talking about service, talking about our academics, and talking about some of the affordability. And that affordability comes because we have a generous community who give us the means to help support those who may not be able to just write a check and show up to school. This also speaks to the work that happens with Gregg Kamper and the budgeting process with our finance committee, who look closely at numbers and make sure that we are well positioned for a good budgeting year. It speaks to our PTO, who works to include new families, who works to engage those who've been here for 15 years, and join us together and be a community. So those are the things that are why people choose our school. And of course, as I mentioned earlier, our academic excellence. I want to mention here, there's a couple words in here. It talks about technology access. One of the things I wanted to mention, for those who do not know, we've in the last month, in January, the end of December, beginning of January, we secured 160 devices in December, Chromebooks. They came in, they were paid for the PTO donated $25,000 to that, and the school paid for the other portion of the purchase. And then we received through our CARES Act money, which we were given through obviously the government. We received 179 Chromebooks. That's a grand total of 339. So truly, we were able to have one-to-one access. And I always say this when I make that statement: we're not computer carrying students walking around with our computers, but we are in fact we have the access to technology as we need it. There's no sharing now, and that's a good thing in COVID, which was why CARES helped fund it. But also it's just great for teachers to be able to create, knowing every day they can make a lesson that may incorporate technology, or a student can do some research on their own while another group is doing something else. So we just, it's a great feeling. So why are our students happy? And these quotes were not prompted; they were asked. They were asked about their experience here at St. Mary's, and these are just some of the things that each of them have mentioned. Um, One of the great things is right now is we are in Catholic Schools Week, and it's in some ways you look at it, you say, oh, that's that really busy week in the year that it's chaotic, but really it's not. It's a celebration. It's being thankful. It's enjoying our time together, doing the things that right now I know a lot of public schools aren't doing, and that's learning in person. I think for those of you who are on this call, you should understand your children are growing and they're learning, and that's important to me. Um, and I know there was mention of, and it was given to me by a couple of parents. There's an article that talks about how basically Catholic schools are knocking it out of the park. They're doing it. We are in person, and everybody's here learning, and so that's good to see how we are part of that growth and part of that initiative to do what we think is right. Um, this is an image. The quotation is really what it is, why this slide is here. But this is Scott Schaefer. Mr. Schaefer is in our middle school. He's a language arts teacher, but he's also taught in the elementary school prior to landing in the middle school. Mr. Schaefer is an athletic director. He's a teacher, and he's also a parent here. And that quote where it talks about when the kids leave here, when the students leave St. Mary's, they're easily identified just because of the way in which they present themselves. They're learning, the way in which they are knowledgeable in things. And a lot of that has to do with the IB curriculum that we use in preparing them for the future. All right, let's go on. This is the end of wrapping up my portion of this, and then we'll slide over to Mr. Kamper here in a minute. There's a lot of text on here, I understand that, but one of the things that I want to point out here is our growth. We had double the applicants last summer, double the applicants than we do normally, and we know why that is. We had people who schools that were closed, and no one knew when they would reopen, but we knew we were opening, so we did get double the applicants. But I'm happy to report, we did screen those who were coming here, and we welcomed them, the quality families coming to our school and being part of us, and now they're just part of our school. And it's been wonderful to be able to have new families coming in and joining us and sharing the great things that go on at St. Mary's. In talk about faith, some of the numbers here, we look at 75% of our students are Catholic. We don't have a different tuition. There's no Catholic, non-Catholic tuition like some of our local schools. Other schools do that. I like to call it a surcharge for not being Catholic, but we don't do that here. And then also we're looking at we have 410 students here, and currently eight are virtual. They have chosen to learn remotely, and we all agree, the remote learners and the school, that the current platform they're using isn't what they really want to be doing, but they're committed to our school because they know they'll be able to come back. And that to me is speaks volumes on commitment. So we thank them for everything that they've done to stay with us. All right, then this last slide here is one that kind of raises some eyebrows, but also makes you smile. The eyebrow raising is, how did we, this red line is students who returned. So it looks like it's going down. It looks like we're having some troubles here, but truly we're not. We're really not. There were some leadership changes here in the 2017-18 year, and then pandemic hit, and that's what brings this. But the part to pay attention to are the blue numbers and the yellowish number, right? So the blue number are the new students. You see that's higher going back almost 10 years. That's the highest number that we've had. And then this total enrollment is, we're seeing it go up. And we project next year will be even higher. And that's keeping our COVID distance. So we're not going to sacrifice human health, and we're going to be looking at a COVID safe environment. But we still feel confident that we're able to raise that number from 410 to something a little higher. All right, so with that, that's our enrollment numbers. I talked about the good things about St. Mary's just in general, the school and what we do and our faith and our academics and our community. Now I'm going to move on to the numbers, and we'll let Gregg Kamper, who is the Director of Finance for the parish and school, he will take over at this point.
Thank you, Brandon. Welcome everyone tonight. Before I get started, I just want to express that it's truly a blessing for me to be part of our school. As a product of Catholic education, both in elementary, high school, and college. It really is a special experience, and we're very blessed here to have Brandon and Father Mike as our leaders here within the organization. As Brandon was saying, we're very encouraged by the enrollment data, and especially looking going forward. We have a capacity of about 450 students in the whole school, and the interest that we've had this particular year, and given the fact that we have some COVID restrictions in terms of the size of the classrooms that we can have right now, it's all very encouraging to have these waiting lists, particularly ones that are even looking out to the year 2022 to 2023. I think that's a real testament to the leadership team here. Focusing on some of the numbers, as you can imagine, financial aid in Catholic schools is always a challenge each and every year. And in particular, over the last year and a half here, particularly given the COVID situation where we had families who were impacted immediately last spring when things broke out with COVID, it's always a challenge. As you can see from our current year here, we are able to fund about 56%, or in this case, about $300,000 of the stated total needs of our student base. So unfortunately, about 44% of the student need goes unfunded. And I'll talk a little bit later about how we're looking to close that gap and some of the unique opportunities that we have to be able to do that. When we look at our financial aid in terms of where does this come from, just thought it would be interesting to see some facts here. And as we talk about scholarships and fundraising, for all of you to understand, we have 82 students that receive some form of financial aid. And this is not our multi-child discount. This is actual financial based need. We receive about $50,000. This varies each year from the diocese in the form of parish sharing scholarships and in the form of McMahon Parader financial aid. The other piece of the $300,000 that we provide in funded aid is provided from the school directly, either through discounts in tuition, in essence, or from our parish. Our parish provides about $110,000 a year in terms of a direct subsidy. And then we offset that with, there's a state tax credit program that provides financial aid that's run through the diocese. And then, and I'll talk a little bit about this later on, but right now for new students, we have our Future Full of Hope Scholarship that was just started in the last year and a half here. And this is another way that we can provide financial aid to students. We have a balanced budget for the fiscal year 2021. We are fortunate here at St. Mary's that typically we are able to balance our budget every year. When we had the dip in enrollment, it was a challenge. This year, it was a little bit easier from an enrollment perspective, but because of the COVID situation, pulling this balanced budget together still had its challenges. For example, we had restricted classroom sizes. So even though our fixed cost by having a teacher in a classroom is the same whether we have 20 students in that classroom or 22 students in that classroom, but because of COVID, we couldn't move up to that slightly higher number. We also had our after-school care program, which is a revenue generator for us. We had to scale that program back this year. Our PTO, in terms of the fundraising that they're able to do this year and last year because of not being able to have the annual gala. So those are all some of the challenges that we've had in terms of actually balancing our budget. We are very fortunate, though, that tuition does cover 92% of the directly related educational expenses for our school. And then the rest is funded through the sources that I discussed earlier from the parish and from the diocese. So taking a look at our fiscal year summary, looking at revenue, you can see that the bulk of our revenue is from tuition and registration fees. We've talked about diocesan financial aid and the parish financial aid. Other revenue is revenue that's generated from our after-school care, our cafeteria revenue, which covers our direct cafeteria costs, other student programs, and then also our annual fund that I'll talk a little bit more when I talk about development. So you can see that our operating budget for this year is close to $3.3 million. On the expense side, obviously our primary expense or investment, I should say, is really a better word, is in our faculty and in our staff. So you can see that salaries and benefits represent about $2.4 million of our operating budget. Direct instructional expenses, including textbooks and other direct instructional materials, is almost $100,000, and then other expenses are about $700,000, and those represent facilities costs, utilities, office and administrative costs, our cafeteria costs, and then other smaller expenses, obviously, that we spend. So you can see this year that we come out with a slight net income of about $35,000, which, given the current year and the current circumstances, I think it is very, very good for our school. And then that money, and we believe we'll be on budget right now, that money would be then put back into our net assets for future years. So switching a little bit from the discussion of our finances to development, and we've got several exciting things that have happened in St. Mary's over the last couple of years. And the first major area is with our endowment. Up until about 2016, our endowment had ranged about $180,000 to $200,000, which is very small and really didn't generate a lot of benefit for the school. And in 2016, we had a parish family, anonymous parish family, who made a very generous donation to the school of $750,000 with the intent of getting our endowment to $1 million from a perspective of investments and from a perspective of getting donations and contributions. Being able to say that you have $1 million benefit is something, $1 million balance is something that's beneficial. In the years since then, we've seen growth, and right now our fund is right around $1.4 million. This fund is managed by our finance staff and an advisory investment endowment committee that's made up of parishioners and school families, alumni. These funds are invested with Vanguard through some strategies that have been developed through the years with independent financial advisors, and our growth has been very good through the years. What do we use this endowment fund for? We're allowed to take 4% per year max, and then be able to use that for a variety of things. Typically, these are things that our principal, Brandon, and Father Mike, and myself, we come up with a recommendation and share that with the endowment committee, and then as a group, we typically make that decision. In the past, this has been used, for example, in 2018 and 2019, the disbursement for that year went toward our elementary school renovation project. We've used it toward financial aid, and then a portion of it each year goes to fund our Hazel Luane Scholarship, which is an academic scholarship for one student to provide their tuition for the year. And this is just a chart showing the growth that we've seen since that large contribution was made in 2016, the growth through current time. Another exciting program that was established in 2019, again, a parish family, an anonymous parish family, decided that in order to maintain enrollment at St. Mary's, in order to help us grow and go back into our capacity, that they would donate $1 million over the next 10 years toward helping new students be able to afford St. Mary's. And this program was for new Catholic students for any grade. It can cover up to 50% of their tuition, and it can be funded if they start in JK. It can actually run throughout 8th grade, depending on the family's financial needs. So we're really excited about this program. This is really the first full year that we've seen an impact from it, and we actually used about $32,000 of that first year this year for new families. And then another important part of this, which many of you will be hearing about as we continue to raise monies for this, is that we have an annual matching fund opportunity for that. Those matching funds are allowed to be used toward not only new students, but existing students who might need financial aid. And last year, we distributed over $35,000 in those matching funds to families that needed assistance, primarily because of COVID-related financial hardships or other financial hardships throughout the year. So we have those things that come up. So this will be something that, as we move forward, we really want to try to build this program. And then looking at other development efforts that we have underway, each year we have our annual fund. Our target this year is $65,000, and we're over 80% of our goal right now. This is a supplemental fundraising opportunity that really does help our operating expenses. It helps us in terms of being able to buy additional instructional materials some years. It helps us with technology purchases in other years. So these are things that that we need and is part of our budget, and we thank you for your support with this each year. Some other exciting things that are happening here this year in 2020. Johnny and Joanne Black, who were longtime parishioners and champions for our school, passed away. And as part of their estate, they left a gift of $300,000 to the parish and to the school to be used at the pastor's discretion. And right now, while we haven't made a final decision as to how these funds will be used, we're looking at possibly increasing the endowment, looking at financial aid. In the past, the Blacks have made gifts to help with dyslexic students and having them be able to have tutoring, extra tutoring for their needs. So this is something that we'll be communicating with the community in the future as those final decisions are made. And then finally, from a development standpoint, if many of you will remember, in 2018 we had a $2.8 million renovation project of the old elementary wing and our resource classrooms and our expanded offices and new entrants. And we're coming to the conclusion of the 3-year pledge period for that campaign. So as we transition out of those pledges, we want to encourage people who are giving to continue to give. The parish maintains it's a little over $1 million worth of mortgage debt right now on that renovation. So the parish collects money every month to help pay off that debt. And we're hoping that as we transition out of this pledge period, that school families, alumni, and parents and grandparents will continue helping us to pay down that debt. And also, obviously, we want, if they're interested in other things, we obviously want to grow our endowment and the Future Full of Hope campaign. So those are other giving opportunities. So I hope, as you can see from this financial summary, that we have a strong foundation here. We have development programs that are looking toward the future and hoping to ensure long-term sustainable growth for St. Mary's, and that at this point we are in a good position, and we look to continue that. And with that, I'll turn it back to Brandon, who's going to talk about what are some of the long-term goals and needs of St. Mary's as we move forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Greg. As you can see, financially, I feel really confident in where we are, and a lot of that confidence rests upon the shoulders of Greg and the work that he does. It's our finance committee who come together monthly and discuss budgeting and other ways in which finances could be better utilized, and then our endowment committee who works together on that, and then lastly is our school board too, who come together monthly as well, and we talk about all things related to the school. They're a school advisory board, so it's advisory in nature, but providing support along the way and guidance. So all of those coming together in different ways help create a really stable school, financially, but also even in personnel and in other areas. So there's a lot of people to thank. So thanks to everybody. Looking at our goals moving forward. Starting from my left, maintaining excellence in academics. That's why we're here. We're here at school to learn and to grow, and those things are important. There are things we're creating, things like literacy committees to help identify what's taught at what grade level, and how do we usher from, say, second to third grade very smoothly and move all the way through middle school. How do we create a great solid foundation of reading and phonics in the early years? So those things are happening to help grow us in an academic sense. The other thing is the second item there. It talks about increasing enrollment and retention. It was deliberate in last year where I opened a position for marketing and communications. I just felt that there was this need to do a couple of things. One was to sell us. This was a pre-pandemic move, and it was to sort of show who we are, get us out there, let people see how great we are. And then the other part, which I think is the largest part, was to celebrate who we are. I feel like this is a diamond right here. Being at St. Mary's is a great place to be, but we want everybody to see that. So that's a lot of who we are, and why I created that position, was to be able to market and sell and celebrate St. Mary's. Going back to our academic excellence, I wanted to also mention too, was the most valuable thing in this is this Catholic and spiritual part that comes with this. Being able to pray in class and go to mass every single week together, from early years up through middle school. It's second to nothing. And sitting in mass among the students, and when we can invite parents to come in and sit with their children, it's a whole different experience. And so that being able to share that time is so unique, and to connect the academics with the spiritual piece is just an amazing time. The other thing is I wanted to look at increasing enrollment and retention. while retention is at 91% traditionally, it wasn't the same last year, but that was a COVID impact. So when looking to continue with the 91% or higher retention rate. And then the last larger bullet there is continue to grow financial resources. I know giving can be difficult sometimes, but it's something that, helps the school to continue to move forward. It's something that allows the students to each have their own device. It's something that allows us to have assistance in each of the lower grade levels and other positions to help support students in both enrichment and in recovery. So those are things that among the growing the financial resources, those are the pieces that that are supported with that. So these are the goals moving forward. This is where we're headed. And I'm really excited about the direction we're going, and I'm so happy that everyone here is along for the ride. And I'm really looking forward to where we're going. So as I mentioned, we're not going to have a Q&A at the moment, but if there are questions, you may email me, bhess@stmary.org, or you could have mentioned them in the chat, and I will gladly answer those as I'm able to. So thank you everyone for coming out on a Thursday night. We're done in 45 minutes, which I think is fantastic. And I am super excited to have everybody here this evening and in our school re-enrolling and adding new students for next year. So I hope everybody has a wonderful weekend. Enjoy the Super Bowl, and I'll see you soon.